All right, welcome back, Florida Football Insiders podcast. We gave you a little recap of all the state teams in our previous segment. Now let's get to Gainesville, Florida. We're going to talk Florida Gators, 20-10 losers in Baton Rouge, Death Valley on Saturday night. No better person to talk to than somebody that was in the building to see DJ Lagway's 5 interceptions and such. Mr. Kevin Lagway, beat writer for the Gainesville Sun. He covers the Gators 365 days a year. Welcome back, Kevin. How are you?
Yes, I think you misspoke Kevin Brockway, but Kevin Lagway would be, we would call it. I don't know if I'd want to be one of DJ's relatives to answer the questions for that performance, unfortunately. But it was really something. I think that I think we're seeing how important the practice time, the development is between your freshman and sophomore year of the offseason, just being on the field as opposed to mental reps. I think it's been showing up week to week now the first few weeks of the season.
Yeah, this was kind of his really worst performance of his career at Florida. I mean, he never had a game where he had performed this poorly. And, in retrospect, the Florida defense played really well. They kept Florida in that game as long as they humanly possibly could, but Lagway just continued to throw to the other team. And there were two or three of those that were just, you hate to say it, misreads or just awful throws that weren't even close. Just give me your sense from being in the building Saturday night, kind of after the second or third one. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think some people were wondering, whether you would go to Tramel Jones at this point, but I think Billy Napier is sticking by his quarterback, sticking by the guy that he recruited out at Willis High School, the top national recruit, Gatorade High School Player of the Year. I mean, I think DJ showed his talent certainly last year in his ability to create big plays, particularly with his arm. The 12 completions of 40 yards or more. And I think teams have adjusted, right? Keeping things in front of them. I think DJ's probably a little frustrated in that regard and is maybe trying to force throws that aren't there. And, maybe also just kind of misreading. And Billy Napier talked a lot yesterday, too, about time and score in those situations. 10-10 game where it's 30 seconds left and you try to throw a ball over the middle because you're probably going into the half at least tied at 10-10, if not setting up for your own field goal. And then late in the game, throw the overthrow, the interception in the end zone where you're in field goal range for Trace Mack, who's got a big leg, where you could, maybe, get a field goal there and cut it to a one-score game, cut it to 20-13. So those are the kind of things that Billy wants his quarterback to be mindful of, those time and score situation, the situational football, where maybe you don't make as risky a throw as you should.
Yeah, and if you look at the box score a little bit, 37 minutes of time of possession for the Gators. I mean, they were dominating on being on the field. Two things that kind of stuck out to me and looking at the box score. Eugene Wilson, Trey Wilson, only 2 catches. I know he had a bunch of completions to other guys, but boy, Wilson's kind of your most electrifying guy. Only 2 catches out of Gene Wilson. Don't you have to, if you're Billy Napier, don't you have to scheme some plays to get the ball into Eugene Wilson's hands?
Well, yeah, he is one of the fastest receivers on the team. I think too, you had Delaney on him, who's an NFL level corner. I think that factored into it too in terms of how well he was covering him. But yeah, no, Trey Wilson's got to find ways to get open for sure, and Florida's got to maybe find ways to find him. I know that early in the season they were doing a lot of those kind of jet sweep pitch passes and so forth, things of that nature, but they weren't working very well. And I think one of the issues with you know uh, Trey Wilson run after the catch is he's 180 pounds, so
Right.
he's kind of easy to take down, particularly in an SEC game against SEC defenders. So he's going to keep working at it. I thought Aiden Mizell showed some promise in that game. Obviously, he had the touchdown catch. Vernell Brown the third looks like he's got a lot of ability, both as a receiver and a return guy. And J. Michael Sturdivant
Right.
hasn't quite flashed yet as much as he could. So I think those things, and what really hurts is having Dallas Wilson with a leg injury, another Tampa kid that looked electric in the spring game, and looks like he's still going to be out for a bit with that leg injury.
And the other part of the box score that really got me a little surprised and confused was you're in the game, it's a defensive kind of game, but you only give Jaden Ball 10 carries. They didn't run the ball, I don't think, enough. And I know that LSU front and that defense is good, but boy, you got to run the ball a little bit more. I mean, that's to me, that's the strength of that Florida team is those running backs. Only 10 carries for Jaden Ball.
Yeah, it was a little weird that, and listen, they were finding ball in the spring, excuse me, the screen passes though. Particularly one during the touchdown drive where it was a 3rd and 4. It's probably Napier's best play call in the game. I think they had a little dump off screen when LSU brought pressure, and that screen gained about 25 yards. So Ball had 7 catches for another 50 yards. So he had close to 100 all purpose yards for the game.
Yeah.
But that being said, yeah, you would like to get him the ball a little bit more, handoff on the ground. He's splitting carries a little bit with Jacoby Jackson, but Jacoby hasn't been off to the best start this season. And I think, you're going to see Ball continue to get the bulk of the carries here going forward.
What'd you like out of the Florida defense? I mean, obviously they hold Nussmeier to 20 points in that building. I mean, for most of that game, it was 13-10 for a long time. What'd you see and what'd you like out of that Florida defense?
Well, linebackers, Miles Graham, playing very well. I thought the Dijon Johnson had a pick. Secondary did okay. Still the front though, they stopped the run very well, but you would have liked to have seen a couple more of those negative plays, right? Like they had, 7 sacks against Nussmeier last year. This year they had no sacks, only one quarterback hurry. So they weren't necessarily, getting to the quarterback as much. And LSU played a little bit of quick game on him, but there were times when Nussmeier dropped back too, and the pocket was comfortable enough for him to make some throws. So while it was a good day for the defense, it wasn't, obviously good enough to get on the winning side, and no turnovers either. None of those game breaking plays or one, excuse me, the Dijon Johnson, but certainly not as many as LSU had.
What sense did you get in the locker room after the game? Just the mood of the locker room. Obviously, they thought that was probably a game. If they don't throw 5 picks, they either win the game or that game goes deep into the fourth quarter. What kind of sense in the mood of the players in the locker room did you get?
Yeah, I would say that DJ came out and he faced the music a little bit, and he took the accountability on him. Miles Graham as well, even with the defense, it feels like that there are ways the defense could have played better. So I think that a little shell shocked, but also I would say willing to take accountability, not necessarily shying away from it. I know some people think that when a quarterback has a turnover performance like that, the locker room can kind of fracture a little bit in terms of the defense versus the offense. I have not seen that yet,
Yeah.
but we will see. If DJ has another bad game or two like this, it's a little turnover prone. Then maybe we will see if that's the case.
Well, obviously, we wrap up. Then the Gators are now 1-2. Obviously, you lose to USF last week. You lose to LSU this week. Now you have to turn the page quickly and go play a top 5 team in the country in Miami, in Hard Rock, in Miami. Miami comes off of the beating of Florida. I mean USF. I mean a team that the Gators lost to 2 weeks ago, and they beat them by 35. Just talk about is this a spot where again? Do you anticipate this being a spirited effort out of Billy and his guys, or could you see this being, something where, oh man, here we go again, and they get beat by 2 or 3 touchdowns?
I don't think like I haven't seen the effort being the issue yet. It's just the execution, right? It's just making smart plays. And certainly another aspect of that game too. If you're calling the LSU game, you're up 3-0. You're kind of pinned deep in your end there, and you're thinking to yourself, well, you might have to punt the ball away. And then Lagway extends the play, kind of heaves the ball downfield. Jaden Ball is there, and it's a stunning, he's behind the defense completely. It's a stunning 87-yard touchdown pass. The only
Right,
problem is flag on the play, and it turns out that Najee Harris gets called for holding. So it's kind of like little things like that have been happening.
right.
And that's the 3rd touchdown in the
I forgot
last
about that play. That was
two
a turning point,
games.
a big play in that
Yeah,
game.
yeah. Three plays, and that's the 3rd touchdown in the last 2 games that gets called back on a flag. So the penalties have been a big problem as well. Just that overall, discipline of not holding or not making that play in that situation really hurts. And offensively, only 2 touchdowns the last 2 games too. I mean, it's got to get better. They've got to, USF, it was red zone execution, right? And here it was turnovers and penalties that were killing drives. So they just have to be a little bit more on point in those situations.
To the hard question here, if they were to get beat badly here in Miami, bye week coming up, do you get any sense of potential change at the bye week, or do you think he's going to get at least Texas in the Texas A&M game to kind of right the ship?
Yeah, at first I thought maybe open week it would make sense then, but the latest that I'm hearing is they're going to give him every opportunity to dig out of this at least through October,
Right,
and then maybe the second open week would be, if things don't improve and if you're 2-5 or God forbid 1-6,
right.
I think that you might pull the plug down. Don't forget too, there's this rule with transfers too. The first 5 games, you have a 30-day transfer window. To if your coach is let go, but
Oh,
that disappears after week 5. So I think a lot of it too is do you want your players to
roster.
quit on the season or
Right.
not, or there to be a mass exodus because a lot of them do like Billy. Um, so I think he's going to get a little bit of a time, at least
Okay.
half the season, to try to figure this thing out.
What's the mood in the Gainesville community? Is it just a matter of when for most people, or do they think? I mean, I know it's hard when you're losing. What kind of sense do you get from the community in Gainesville?
Yeah, a lot of frustration and wondering why he's still here. And I think certainly, last year I kind of thought the 4-game winning streak bought him some equity, but that USF loss, it left quick, following that loss. And then, certainly the way you look going to LSU, not that they didn't compete hard, right? But they
Yeah,
don't give you,
yep,
this isn't youth soccer. They don't give you medals for trying hard. This is the
right,
SEC. You got to win.
right.
And you were hoping in year 4, if you were a Florida fan, that it was going to start to really turn the corner. And Billy Napier, these are all players, not pretty much. I think there are a few fifth-year stragglers from the Dan Mullen era, but even those guys, you look at Austin Barber and Jake Slaughter; those are 2 of your better guys. But for the most part, these are mostly Billy's guys now, and a lot of them aren't necessarily. Some of them aren't performing up to their recruiting billing, and others, haven't developed necessarily to the rate that you'd like to see them develop at this point.
Well, the Gators are going to have another great opportunity on primetime Saturday night in Miami. Another top 5 opponent. You got a bye week, then you have a Texas team who's not playing really well. Arch, he's not played really well, so you're going to have there's some opportunity here if you're Billy, if you can just get the execution up, you can get the performance of some of your better guys to play a little better. There's an opportunity here to get right back in the mix. But you got, like you mentioned, the execution and your better players got to play good when it's time to play good. I mean, you can't have the holding, like you said. I completely forgot about the 87-yard touchdown. That was a huge play in that game. Florida goes up 10-0. That's a completely different environment in that building as opposed to 3-0 and holding call. So enjoy your time in Miami this weekend, Kevin. I know you'll do some great work. Gainesville Sun. Tell everybody where they can find all your great work online.
Yeah, at Gatorsports.com, Gainesville.com, and at Kevin Brockway G1 on Twitter. And we Jason, I always appreciate it. Should be a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting because now with this 9-game SEC schedule, I don't think we're going to see another Florida Miami game in quite a while. So
Right.
this will be and I think a lot of people thought maybe early in the season, if Miami lost to Notre Dame and if Florida started 3-0, there'd be a lot of Gator fans down there. I think the shoe's on the other foot now. Game day's coming, but they're coming for Miami. And I think you're going to see it's going to be more like 80-20, 90-10. I think
Uh-huh.
now Miami to Florida fans in there.
Any nuggets on the basketball front? I know we're about a month away or so from basketball kind of getting cranked up. Any nuggets there?
Yeah, a couple of weeks away. I mean, actually, September 22nd is when they'll start practicing. And really, I think what you're going to see is that a bigger front line with Tommy Houck playing the wing at small forward to go with Alex Condon and Ruben Chinyalu, and Boogie Fland is back from offseason hernia surgery, so you got him and Xavier Lee at the guards and AJ Brown coming off the bench. I mean, it has potential to be another really strong team, another team that can make a deep run. But you are losing a generational talent in Walter Clayton Jr. So it'll just be interesting to see how the backcourt kind of comes together during the course of the year with the 2 transfers who are very talented players, but A national championship guard like Walter Clayton Jr., he just brought something a little extra flair, a guy that could make a big shot at the big moment. I think that's the thing that's not proven yet that you still have to watch and see. But I think Todd does a pretty good job of developing his players, certainly, and finding those diamonds in the rough. And I think you'll see some of the front court guys like Hauk, like Alex Condon, take on more of a leadership role.
One more thing I just thought about it, something I saw a couple weeks back that was kind of under the radar and way after the fact. Scott O'Sullivan gets suspended by the AD for what, the first 3 or 4 games of the season. What was the edifice of being so late on that way after? I mean, they said there was going to be internal discipline and all that, and then 3 4 months later they announced it. What was kind of behind that?
Yeah, I think it was just the announcing of the schedule too. I think they kind of did it around the same time. And what's interesting about the suspension is, yeah, it's a 3 game suspension, but it includes the 2 fall games. So
God.
really, it's a 1 game suspension in
God.
season. But it's the fall games that they have for fall baseball.
Oh
He's
my
going to be suspended from those games as well.
God. Okay. That's
So
even
it
worse
all depends
then.
on your point of view. It could be
Yeah,
you're
right.
calling it a 3 game suspension or a 1 game suspension.
Yeah, okay. That makes it even worse in my opinion. But well, Kevin, great work, man. Keep up the great work. Enjoy the game in Miami and all things Florida Gators. Go see Kevin on Gainesville or Gatorsports.com and the Gainesville Sun. Appreciate the time and enjoy the weekend.
All right, thank you, Jason.